Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's broadcast. Walter's just checking up on our
Says snowfall warning
what snowfall warning for when though?
for tomorrow, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, supposed to start at 10 p.m. tonight.
Walter was just checking his phone here to see we're supposed to be getting a big fall or something.
Well, I guess that's what it is.
Oh, which is now down on the looks like the eastern seaboard of the United States or something, but whatever. Well, hello everybody. So hi Donna and Marlene and Teresa and Jeannie and Laura and Patsy. Patsy says it's cold, windy, and rainy in Mississippi. Last week in the upper 70s. This week now snow flurries. Andy's here. Hi Andy. Hi Anita. Hello Fidel from sunny, boring Mexico. Yeah. Rub it in. Rub it in.
Yeah, it's -4 today. We're 4 degrees below freezing.
Camera's a little high. Put it down a bit. Okay, is that better? That's a little better.
Actually, yesterday was really cold. It was -15 during the day.
Well, when I got this morning, it was -20 or something, and now it's up to -3. So, hi Margaret. Well, you can't do much about the weather. It is winter, so Nita says they're waiting on snow flurries in Ohio. Yeah, these weather reports though, they get you all uptight about the, hi Angel, about the storm of the century kind of a thing, and it always sometimes it hits, but most of the time it peters out. I swear that's what weather people get excited about. Ooh. So I hope everybody is well. If you're in a colder part of the climate, I hope you're feeling warm. If you're in a warmer part of the climate, I hope you're feeling cool. However that works out. So
-20 is -4 Fahrenheit.
Minus what is which?
-20 is Celsius is -4 Fahrenheit. So
okay. Well,
if you know what
yeah,
it's -20 is like 20 degrees freezing.
All I know it's cold, and I can't take the cold anymore.
I find I'm less tolerant of it.
I mean, when I was a kid and that, it didn't mind the cold.
I think it's because we stay in all the time.
Yeah, maybe.
When I used to work, we used to go for a daily trek across the mall parking lot to go for coffee. And if no matter how cold it was, we still went.
Well, the last couple of days when we've gone out, it's been like, ooh, frosty. And that was only -2. Angel says getting about 4 inches here in the next 3 hours. Okay, well, that'll be it. Angel, I have a question for you. Are you the Angel that is on Chip's, what's he call it? The quilting, I forget what he call it, quilting stream or whatever it is. Are you the Angel he refers to all the time on his lives on Mondays or Fridays? This is Margaret.
Guinness.
Yeah, that's it. I had a brain fart. And you've got what? Kilkenny? Kilkenny. Oh no, they killed Kenny. Well, some people know what that reference from.
There's an icicle on my tricycle.
There's an icicle on my tricycle. Well, don't sit on it, sweetie. Unless you want to. Well, you can't do much about the weather, can you? At least, we've been fairly lucky. I mean, it's been cold, but there hasn't been any snow, so nothing to shovel.
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, and then we'll all be bitching about that.
Because I haven't used snowblower yet this year. I hope it still works.
Oh, yeah, when you turn it on?
I tried it before the season started.
Okay. All right, so let's get in on things now. So, what are you working on? It's my shirt.
I still am working on your shirt, but I actually started working on it today. I got the sleeves in.
Well, you're going to show it?
So I got sleeves in. Once I got sleeves in, sleeves are...
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi,
Wendy.
On this shirt are a real pain in the butt because they're... there's a lot of easing for the sleeves. So I got them in. So I just have to sew them up, sew the sides up, and put the collar on, and put the buttons on.
Yeah.
And that is not a big deal.
So I may have this shirt ready to wear by about May. Yeah. Oh, it isn't you, Angel. Okay. Another Angel he has on there. Thought it might have been you, but okay, never mind. Teresa says hot or cold, nothing good. HVAC can't fix. Yep. Hello, Teresa.
I did do a good job at matching your pocket though.
Oh, it's an invisible pocket now.
Where is this?
Yeah, it must have been good match. You can't find it.
I don't know, I'm having trouble finding what side and what on this shirt. For some reason, pattern is not.
Okay, you're having trouble showing it in the camera. So where's the pocket?
It's right
there. Ooh, never know.
Yeah.
It was there. Okay, well, matched that nicely.
Yeah.
That's good. I have to have a pocket on my shirt because I have to have something to put my glasses in. Anita says, nice material. And Patsy loves the fabric and the color. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a nice shirt. And it's mine. It's mine. And I always look good in blue. Brings out my eyes, my blue eyes. Don't you think? Well,
Blue eyes. I don't think they're blue. I think they're gray now.
they're not. They're
Just
blue.
like your hair. They've gone gray.
They don't go. You know, you're just blind. You can't. Jeez. Well, anyway, so that's all you've been working on?
Well, yeah, you know me. I putter around.
Yeah, putter. And I never know. Yeah, putter with the computer. And when Walter says putter, it means porn.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. Go away.
Yes, so did we,
and
Margaret.
then- yeah.
We went to the Guinness factory in Ireland too when we were there a few years ago. Quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, well, it was the year you retired, so. how
Oh,
long
well,
is
it's
that?
10 years ago. It's 2012. Is that the year we went?
Yeah.
2012? Oh, geez. How time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, it's the trip that I thought you wanted to go on and you thought I wanted to go on.
Yeah, I could have cared less whether I went to Ireland. And okay, I know it's sacrilege because you hear everybody say, I've always wanted to go to Ireland or I loved Ireland. I didn't hate Ireland, but out of all of the places in the world we could have gone to, Ireland wasn't one that was way up there on my list.
Actually, I kind of liked going there.
Well, it was nice, you know. It was, yeah, I'm not complaining about it. It was nice. And like you were always handy. You were always within 5 feet of a pub anywhere in Ireland. But, you know, and there's history there and the whole bit. And you just make sure you stayed religion neutral and you were fine depending on which part of Ireland you were in. But yeah, it was an okay trip. It was a bus trip. Well,
It was okay.
it was okay, but we had a lot of old people on that bus.
Yeah, well, take a look in the mirror.
Oh, it was 10 years ago.
Well, we're no spring chickens then either, so.
Well, I don't know. It was all right, but I mean, everybody always talks about they want to go to Ireland. And my mother always said she wanted to go to Ireland. Well, they didn't travel. And my grandmother always said, did she ever get to Ireland?
Actually,
I think she did
the
go.
lady, I was doing stained glass at the time. The lady that owned the store, she says, don't go to Ireland, go to Newfoundland, right? Because Newfoundland's supposedly the same as Ireland.
Oh, is it?
And similar anyway. We still have to go to Newfoundland. We went to Ireland, but we haven't been to Newfoundland.
Yeah, well, in our own country. Well, maybe someday we'll get to Newfoundland. Kind of want to go now. So, but Newfoundland was one of those kind of places that we always considered it's a little slower pace of life. And we were much younger when we first started traveling in that. And we weren't interested in slow pace. We wanted to go and see this and that. Now, it's kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't mind. Just go, look at the scenery, take in a museum or two if they have those in Newfoundland. Have dinner in a pub, go to bed early. Yeah, really. Oh, we're such party animals. Yay. Anymore. Anyway, so that's all you've been working on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you
I
go to
keep thinking
Canadian.
I'm gonna go over to gonna do some embroidery project or something.
Oh,
And I think I might do a little bit more because today I found out the class that my teacher was going to be teaching for the next class for, and I don't like the project, so I'm.
well, what's the project?
It's a wool double-breasted overcoat, and I don't wear those. I wore double-breasted ones when I was youngish.
Okay, there's several things wrong with making one of those at our age. One, you got to be skinny to get away wearing anything double-breasted.
Yeah.
And two, I don't know, but I don't think double-breasted, although they say double-breasted is a classic style, it never goes out, but I can't say as though I've been seeing that trending lately.
No, I don't know. It's kind of formal, and I don't wear too many formal clothes or anything, and I know it's going to be an expensive coat to make, so I just don't want to. I wouldn't mind doing that for the process of doing it, but then on the other hand, I'll end up with a coat I'll never wear. So
Yeah.
As
Well,
it is, I have a coat up there that I haven't worn.
We could give it to a needy homeless person who
Yeah.
wants to look trendy on the streets. I don't know. Anita says, have you been to Scotland? Yes, we have.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago that we were in Scotland. Yeah, we've done Glasgow, Edinburgh, and the Highlands, Gretna Green. Gretna Green, is that what it's called? Yeah, it was another bus tour. Those were in our early years of traveling. When
That
we
was
used
a
to
long
do.
time ago.
Yeah, that's.
I wouldn't actually.
Time.
We were looking at British TV shows the other day and stuff. I wouldn't mind actually going back to Britain and traveling around.
Yeah, a little bit more than
on my own rather than
on a bus tour. Yeah, with it. I mean, we've been to London several times. I love London, but
I wouldn't mind going a little bit further around, but like sort of on our own.
Yeah, kind of drive around, see the the other parts of England that aren't London, kind of a deal.
Either drive or maybe even possibly take get a train pass or something like that.
Oh, Margaret says, I went to the first Irish International Quilt Festival in 2012.
There you go.
Of course, I wasn't into quilting 10 years ago, so that wouldn't have had any interest for me then, but I didn't know there was such a thing, so.
Well, I imagine so. They quilt over
Well, I guess, yeah. Well, I know they do, but I mean, at the time, I wasn't paying any attention to that, because if you'd told me there was a scrapbook store or something like that, I would have been right there. But but now, different thing. Cheryl says she had a cruise that was supposed to go to Newfoundland in September. It was postponed once, maybe postponed again. Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know, right? And Teresa says, right, slow down, sleep an entire day. Well, I don't know if I'd go as far to sleep an entire day, but Walter would.
No,
well, you do now.
I do not.
Patsy says, what's on the 3D printer? Or you can hear it over there. Well, what's happening is I am making
boxes. Oh, wow.
Oh, I can't get the camera to show over that way, but I am making a storage unit with drawers for little pieces and parts for the 3D printer. The main unit has been printing now for 36 hours. Something like that. It's still got about 5 hours left on it.
It's a box with holes in it.
It's a box with screw off. And there's little drawers, and the drawers have divisions in them, that kind of thing. So there's 5 drawers. You could
just go to the dollar store and buy one.
I know, but that's not the point. The point is I'm making it to myself. You take all the fun out of this stuff. Yeah, well, you could have gone out and bought me a decent shirt, but.
Yeah, but then I'd have to pay more money for it.
Yeah, whatever.
Why would I buy you? Where am I going to go to buy a shirt your shape?
Have you looked in a mirror? Holy crap! You look in a mirror in this house. No, they're not funhouse mirrors. That's really how you look. Patsy says, need to kiss the Blarney Stone. Of course, I don't know how that would be done these days. I know. But I did it. Walter did not, because he's afraid of heights, and they hang you upside down and your head's out over top of a very high battlement when you kiss the Blarney Store.
No, I just backed right off that. I said, I'm not doing that.
And then they take a picture of you kissing it. But Walter said, nope, he wasn't doing that. So I did it. But yeah, right now, I don't think I want to be kissing anything in that. Like, I don't care if they wipe it down or not. Hi, Kara. Or is it Kara? Or Kara? Cheryl says, I have a friend in Ireland that is in that quilt show with her winning quilts. Yeah. Huh. Do they have that every year? Cheryl, I didn't know about it. I wonder if there's YouTube videos or something.
Well, there's probably something online where you can find stuff like that.
Oh, Teresa says, I was just going to say the same thing, dollar store. Yeah, but mine's in different colors, and I customize them. Everybody's a critic. Yeah, right. So I did have a little disaster today. I'll just pull it out of the garbage to show you. I thought this was going along really nicely. It's an embroidered Gnomes, and probably with the camera you can't see it, but it tore a hole in it up in here, and I patched the hole. But like sometimes you can have this problem. Your threads will get nested underneath and pull. And I heard it. I know the sound as soon as I hear something's not going to go right. So I stopped the machine. Then I had to cut the stitches underneath, and I have a special little, it's like a hooked scalpel kind of a thing. And you can slide it underneath the hoop, because you can't take the hoop off when it does that, because it knots it and holds it down. So I was cutting the threads underneath, and when I did that, well, it must have pulled through the fabric, although I think it had done that before I got it stopped, and put a hole in it. So I thought I was being very clever. I patched the hole up. You wouldn't have been able to see it because there'd be more embroidery over the top of it, and set it on, and realized it had put the carriage that holds the hoop out of whack. And so the next stitches were all going in the wrong spot. And on my 15,000, when I had that, I had the ability to be able to adjust the hoop by hitting some cursor keys and that, and I could slide it over. And this one doesn't have that feature on it. So that was about 2 hours of my life that I'm never going to get back again. And I can't save it. And it's just so much for that. That was my afternoon. But I was busy this morning. I'll switch over to my oh wait, get the right screen up here. I've been working on some quilts this weekend. So the little houses one, or the little town it's called, I showed you this one I think last week. Well, I have finished the top. I haven't got it layered and quilted yet or bound. I did have some fudging I had to do with this quilt. Like I think I mentioned last week, some of the measurements of the finished blocks were not quite right, but it's worked out okay. And they called for a border in white, and I thought, I don't want to do a white border, so I just used pieces left over from the little houses.
I think a white border would look really nice.
Why don't you read my goddamn lips? You're just a pain in the, you know why? Not in a nice way. So anyways, as I was saying, I took what was left over of some of the fat quarters that went into the houses and cut them into strips and made sort of a pieced border in these colors. Now I did, and I should never have said this to Walter. I think I should have made, first of all, an inner border of white that was maybe half the width of the main border, the outside border, because I think it would have given a little bit of a separation, because the houses sides and the tops and
kind
the
of blend
bottoms
into the border.
are blending into the border. Yeah. However, this is not a big quilt. It was more or less, I saw it, I thought I would do it. It's supposed to be a Christmas quilt. Well, the trees are sort of Christmassy, but there aren't any Christmas.
The star off of it, it might have been.
I know. I thought, yeah. Well, it was in the pattern. I thought about that, but I just did it for some fun, and I'll throw it on the Lucey next week at some point in time and get it quilted up. But speaking of which, I did get to one of my UFOs, and if you saw So Chatty when it went up on Friday, you saw this quilt on Lucey getting ready for quilting, because we were talking about how to do pantographs when you quilt, and that's what I did this one in. But I've had this one done for ages, and it's been sitting out there in my pile of UFOs to get quilted. So I did quilt it, and I did sort of a stylized feather effect. No, Fidel, this was a pantograph. I am not yet up to your level, being able to do feathers free motion style. But I think it turned out nice. It's a fairly large quilt. And speaking of which, I did find limitations to my Lucey. I had another quilt I was going to put on it first. It was another UFO. And it's a lot bigger than what I thought it was, and it's pretty much goes to the limit that I can handle on my Lucey. Of course, Walter at this
I
point will
said
tune
you
in
should
and
have bought the
say,
12-foot table, not the 10-foot table.
and then we wouldn't have been able to move in that room.
You can. It's only a foot on either side.
Be squeezing by now as it is. Yeah, whatever. I can get it on the machine. It's just that when I put the backing fabric on first and layered out, it wasn't. I needed to do some fiddling around, and I didn't want to fiddle around because we were going to do that broadcast. So that's why I threw this one on instead. So, I mean, worst case scenario is I'll take it down to Whirls and Swirls, and I'll rent time on one of her huge machines there, and I'll do it on that. But it's not a biggie. But anyways, this one's called Nine Sisters, and I think it turned out pretty good. And I think the quilting worked on it pretty well too. Any criticisms you have of it?
Well, that's unusual. You put green in it. You don't usually use green.
You know, would it kill you once in your life just to say, I love it? I think you did a
It
really
looks
nice
very
job.
nice.
Yeah, now the point is moot.
It looks very nice.
Fucking Dutch. Yeah, really. But anyway, so I put that together. Let's just go back here for a second. Yeah. So tomorrow I've got the binding for this already made. I'll bind it tomorrow, and then that one will be done. Another one to add to the guest room pile in there. So what are people saying here? Yes, thank you, Laura. She says it's a beautiful quilt, gorgeous colors. Yes, thank you. Andy loves the colors. Hi, Billy. Billy loves it. Cheryl says beautiful quilt top.
Nice.
Your point of view doesn't matter at all anymore. You can see all the small background pieces in your photo. Looks like lots of work. Yeah, a lot of half square triangles in there, that's for sure.
Can you put up the comments?
You're so needy. Just a second. I have to do this to do that. Where am I? There I am. Okay, there. Now you can see. Okay, so, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. See, everybody's stroking my ego now.
Obviously, Fidel has a 12-foot table.
Okay, Fidel.
Yeah,
size matters, eh?
He has a 10-foot table, and the maximum I think you can do on there is a 100-inch quilter.
No, 108.
They say 108, but according to Tracy, she said 99 inches.
Whatever. I'm happy with it. It works for me. Patsy says if you had gotten the larger frame, you would have to stop the beer. What would you be suggesting, Patsy? You know what I often say to people when they go, well, you need to lose weight. And I'll say to them, well, I can always lose weight, but you'll be ugly forever. So that's not directed at you, Patsy. I have no idea what you look like. I've never seen your picture. Okay, I'm getting in trouble now. Thank you, Laura. Yes, I am very good at choosing colors, if I do say so myself. And I do say so myself because I wouldn't get that from him. I like bright colors.
I thought they were different than your normal purple and fuchsia.
I don't do fuchsia. I never do. Fuchsia's pink. I don't do fuchsia.
Yes, you do. It's fuchsia and purple and what is that? Purple and blue.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, you always have.
I like to break out.
You don't usually put greens in anything. You usually.
Well, green is not one of my favorite colors. I don't mind green in certain settings, but that quilt was also made with jelly rolls, I think, and there was some in there. Billy says, "What is the pattern for the last quilt?"
That was the sisters one.
That's the 9. That's called Nine Sisters. That one. Patsy says, I didn't say that. No, I get it. Billy says, my knee replacement's doing great, really getting around now. Well, I'm glad to hear it, Billy. That's nice that you are. We weren't even talking about you, but go ahead, Billy, bring it up. No, it's okay. We're glad that your knee replacement went well and you're getting around now. Well, that's good. Are you going through physio? I imagine you are.
Yeah,
Jeannie says magenta.
magenta. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Green is coming back in 2022. Well, the color of the year, according to Pantone, what do they call that company that does the color of the year? It's supposed to be very Perry, and it's sort of a periwinkle color. It's actually nice. It's got, well, it's one of my colors I like. It's purpley in that. Angel says, I've had that Nine Sisters pattern for a while. I've got to see another version of it made. It's on my distant to-do list. Yeah, I forget. I had it sitting around for quite a while before I did it as well. Actually, Angel, it was you. I couldn't remember what it was called, and you asked when you saw it on the long arm whether that was Nine Sisters, and yes, it was. I'd forgotten what it was called.
Well, that's good for 2.5 weeks.
Wow, yeah, geez, it took my father like almost 2 months. Of course, he had both knees done at the same time, but yeah, that's really good. Kona. Margaret Dooley Duncan says Kona. Oh, no, that's not Kona. I'm not talking about the fabric. There is a company. It's an international company. Every year they set the color, and it's called Pantone.
Or Pantone.
Pantone?
Pantone.
Yeah. And they establish, I don't know what gives them the right, but apparently they're recognized as the world authority on what colors are. I mean, they're an industrial level. They deal in colors for manufactured products, fabrics, clothing, everything. And every year they have this color of the year. And this year it's what they call very
Perry.
Very Perry. Yeah.
Or is it very Perry? Very Perry.
No, I think it's just very Perry. And it's
Pantene?
No, not
No, I think that's shampoo.
That's shampoo. Yeah. Pantone. I think it's called Pantone. You looking it up?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Walter's looking it up. There it is. Laura's got it.
Yeah, Pantone.
Pantone, yeah. Yeah, there it is. Color of the year.
Yeah, it's Pantone. Pantone. Pantone color of the year.
Yeah.
Very Perry canvas.
If you go down and click on, okay, there it is there.
Very Perry.
It'll probably shift in the screen.
That's not too bad. It's about close to the same.
You can't tell because it's not being transmitted from that. I'm looking at this one when it comes up. Well, it'll come up there in a minute.
Yeah.
It's delay, remember? But yeah, very Perry.
It tends to be a little bit different in color.
Actually, I kind of like it as the color goes, but there it is. So it's a kind of a purpley, lavenderish kind of color. Very Perry, yeah. Yeah, a purpley blue. That's right, Laura. I kind of like it. I think it's nice. So anyways, so those things I've been working on, and then I was working on, let me switch my screen again. In my 3D printing, gnomes. Can you ever have too many gnomes? I have a thing about gnomes. Actually, I just noticed that my big one, when I painted in his nose, I kind of got a little on his hat. And so these are solid plastic. And then I thought they'd make a really cute little pin cushion. So, of course, you know me and pin cushions. I went ahead and made a pin cushion out of them, the blue guy. So behind us now, where the spooky doll was, that was rotating. Now I have gnomes rotating there. Last week I had little sculpture things, Shakespeare and the Thinker and something else, but I decided to put my gnomes over there. I wonder if I can get that paint off a little alcohol. I didn't really notice that it was that. The black one, the little black guy, he's supposed to have a white nose. I used a paint marker, which was white, but it
probably was semi-transparent.
It's kind of blended into the black, and it's turned this weird color. So I don't know. Okay, he's a gnome with a disease. No, but whatever. You know, I just have fun with gnomes. And then I made this. This is a flower pot. This was a scanned object. I didn't scan it. But right now there's this, people are into doing 3D scanning, and there's apps you can get for your phone. In fact, there's one I was trying to download onto my phone the other day that someone on a YouTube I saw recommended. But I think it's in beta version, and when I had to put in my email and everything to sign up for it, it just wouldn't take my email. And when I came back to it, it said my email was already there, but I can't log in. And I think it's because I've got enough beta testers on it now, so I'm not getting anything from it. But this one, it was scanned by somebody else, and I saw it, and I thought, because I'm always growing philodendrons, so I thought this would make a nice flower pot, so I did it. Now, I could have made it out of a different color, except right now, if I want anything to be really strong, I'm using this special brand of filament that comes from BC, and I really like it. It's very, very reliable, and it's very strong, and you get really good results. So anyways, it's just going to be a flower pot for philodendron, so I was not worried about what color I got it into. They don't have that many colors to pick from. I just ordered 3 reels of their new colors. I thought
you said that they were coming out with more colors, but they haven't really, have they?
Yeah, they have. They've come out with a purple, a green, and a red, and that's the ones I've got on order. Before that, they had black, white, and gray, and then they had a neutral, transparent from it. They're slowly getting more out, but their stuff's really good, and actually, it's not a bad price. It's about $29.99. Well, it's on sale, but it's been on sale for a long time. I think it's one of those things like they do with fabric, you know, they say regular price was, but it's always at this sale price. I think it's the same with them. So $29.99 a reel, which is middle of the road price wise. So that's okay. So yeah, always making things with the 3D printer. So let's go back to us and put this back up so we can see what people are saying. Yeah, I've got a thing for gnomes too. I didn't until I saw Christmas fabric, not this year, but the year before that, and I got kind of into that.
How big's your pot?
How big's my pot? Oh, how big is it? It is, where'd I put it? Just a second, keep them entertained. Do a little dance, Walter.
Yeah, right. It's not huge. It can't be huge. Its printer's not that big, so.
It's not huge, but it'll suffice for my purposes. But this is it right here, so you can see in relation to my hand. It's got a big hole. There's a joke in there somewhere. No, put it this way. And like I said, this particular plastic, this PLA that this company makes is really, really strong. And that's unusual in PLA to get something that's that strong. Because a lot of PLA tends to be a little bit on the flimsy style.
Tends to be brittle sometimes.
Especially, yeah, well, especially when you're doing something that's hollow, right? But, you know, here, feel it.
I can hear that. It's fairly...
Yeah, it's substantial.
Patsy was asking what a reel of filament looks like.
Oh, I'll show you. This is one I haven't taken out of the plastic, but that's what a reel of filament looks like.
It looks like really thin.
Yeah, plastic. Do I have one out of the plastic? I'm looking up one here somewhere. I mean, it's not like I don't have.
How about the red one at the top? Oh yeah, you got that one out. Yeah,
this one. Okay, so here's one out of the plastic bag. So that's what a reel looks like. And then that's what the filament is. And the filament is just a string of plastic. basically. And on one of these rolls, you get a kilogram. So 2.2 pounds. That's how they measure it. They don't measure it in length. They measure it by weight. And that's what you feed into the machine, and it melts it down and extrudes it. They call it extruding, and makes your thing. So you can get it in a lot of different colors. It's just that this company that I really like, they only have limited colors at the moment. They're adding to their collection all the time. And not all filaments are the same, because I have some filaments here that I've tried everything with and I can't get them to print properly. And they weren't particularly cheap filaments at the time, but they were from companies I didn't know. Thought I'd try them out, and yeah, they're not working for me. So whereas this company with the filament that I made the flower pot from are consistently
actually
good.
it does sort of look like weed whacker cord.
Yeah, it does.
It's a little thicker, I think, but
yeah, well, also it's a different consistency than weed whacker. Weed whacker is nylon cord. This is something called PLA, which stands for a very long chemical compound. It actually, PLA is environmentally friendly because it's made from cornstarch. It's biodegradable. So you can use it with food. Like you can make cookie cutters out of it or things like that, but you can't use it with for things that are going to sit with food in it for any length of time in that, because it's still got other things in it, and they say it's not. They don't recommend it.
There are ones that you can get that are food friendly, but
Yeah.
the problem is that if you've used your machine with stuff that's not food friendly, and then you use that the food friendly stuff, there could still be toxins on your machine.
Yeah.
So
and what are people? Laura says, I have some craft supplies from Make It by Marco. They 3D print all their products. Oh, that's a company I don't know about. I'm just going to write that down because I'll explore that and see what they do. By Marco.
yeah, Andy, you have to. The filament is fairly consistent as to.
Yeah. There's filament comes in two sizes. The size that I buy, which is the most common, it's the diameter of the filament is 1.75 millimeters. And this depends on the size of the nozzle or the extruder nozzle that the filament actually gets heated up, and that's what the filament gets forced through and becomes semi-liquid to do what it's doing. You can get filament that is 2 millimeters or 2.4, which is a thicker, but then you have to have a bigger nozzle, which you can get them. I have some, but I've never ever really experimented with anything bigger than the nozzle that works with 1.75, which is a 0.4 millimeter nozzle end. It gets confusing because you go, well, wait, 0.4 is smaller than 1.75. Well, it's the way it extrudes it. It forces it down into the nozzle. That's the heated part, and that way it can squish it out, kind of a thing. It's real scientific here, the way I'm describing this. Marilyn says, if you could drill a hole in the bottom, which you expect that you could do easily.
Yeah, you can draw.
Yeah, you can draw a hole in it. Yeah, you can do that with it. Somebody said, oh, Marilyn also said this could make good succulent pots. Yeah. So if you want to have drainage in it, you can do that. But you can actually make, there are models, they call them models before you print them out, of pots that are meant specifically to have drainage. They have like an inner part with holes in it, and it goes down the bottom. And they have some that are self-watering, which are basically two plastic containers together with like a chimney piece that you put the water in, and so your plant perpetually waters itself in a sense until that water evaporates, and then you fill it up again.
Andy, it's sort of like a glue gun.
Yeah. In fact, you can buy 3D print pens, they call them, and they use the same kind of filament minus the reel, and you feed it in one end just like you do with a glue stick, and you can squeeze it out and you can freehand making things. But they're more of a novelty item than
like
anything.
the printer actually it melts the filament and everything, and then there's a program inside it. You've got a program or a piece of software that tells it how to move the XY axis and everything else so that it lays down even layers of this filament glue or whatever.
In a sense, it sort of works when he talks about the XY axis. That's the bed that the piece you're making sits on, and it's heated in the cases that I have. Now, there are some 3D printers, they don't heat the bed. Don't recommend you buy one of those because most filaments need to have a heated bed, I have found. Anyways, there's a program. You get these models that people have created in something like CAD programs, or what a lot of people are doing now is like what I said, they're 3D scanning. And basically when they 3D scan, they have a program on their phone, and they just take multiple pictures all the way around the item, and then this program stitches them all together and creates it into a model that you can then put through what they call a slicer program that basically writes the code that you put into the 3D printer that does the printing. And that thing, it gets a little bit complicated here, but basically it tells the bed how it should move, how many millimeters to the right, how many millimeters to the left, how many up, how many down, all this kind of stuff. And as it's doing that, there's an extruder at the top that goes back and forth to each of these coordinate points and follows the path, and it builds it up layer by layer.
Yeah, it does it one layer at a time, and then it just moves it up a little bit and does another layer on top of it and moves it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's how you get the 3D effects
out of it. Yeah.
It's actually kind of, it sounds complicated, and it is maybe a little bit complicated, but it's not. The basic principle of it is pretty simple.
Yeah. It isn't like, I can't program in what they call GCode. That's the program language that's used by the slicer to convert a model into however it does it. And but lots of people do. They know how to, it's a basic computer language in a sense, I guess. You don't need anything fancy to code in it either. You can do it right in like Notepad kind of a deal if you know what the commands are and to put them in. Andy says, if you use a thicker filament, would it take as long to print? Yes and no. It depends on what you're printing. If it's a thicker filament and you've got a bigger nozzle that it's coming through, in theory, it should take less time. However, there's some problems when you do that. It may not be as strong. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with that. So you have to tinker around with it. I have found I don't play with the speed. It is what it is, kind of a thing. But Patsy says, maybe if you get some food friendly, then you could eat a flower pot or gnome in the future when you can't get food. Yeah. Well, you can get filament that is edible, and you can make, people have used it to make very elaborate toppings, like toppers for cakes and things like that. But you have to have a printer that is dedicated to using that kind of stuff, because you can't interchange. Like I couldn't put that kind of filament through these printers because they're contaminated, because they've used chemicals.
I think the printer is specialized to using the type of filament that you're talking about.
Yeah. So
just like Teresa said that her dentist made ground for, just like those are a specialized 3D printer for dentists to use.
They have 3D printers that will make body parts now that they've been experimenting with. Like you lose an ear, it can make an ear. And it's not plastic. It's made out of tissue, basically. They have gigantic 3D printers that can build houses. They're huge. They're
Yeah,
a
they
house size.
basically lay layers of cement on top of each other.
Yeah. You can find a lot of this kind of stuff if you just do a YouTube search on 3D printing, and it's you can go down a rabbit's hole watching, because a lot of people will do, just for these kind of printers I have, they do time lapse photography or video showing you something
And so
being
you can
made.
see something built in seconds type
Yeah.
of thing. So it's kind of interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, Andy. You can ask all the questions you want. I'm just don't want to get ahead here. Do they make, Marilyn says, magnetic 3D filaments would be good for pins? I don't think so, but there are some models people have created that you can insert magnets into them, like little disc magnets or whatever. And so you can create like a fridge magnet, or you can, it'll be like a closure system or something like that. So yeah, you can get around it, but I don't think they make any kind of filament. I haven't seen any though that has magnetic properties to it. Yes, Lori, you can change the nozzle size. Do the designs indicate the size filament you should use? Yes, usually. You see, these designs are not made usually by commercial interests. These designs are made by people like me. They just happen to know a little bit more about using different CAD programs, and they can design their own stuff. I have actually done some of my own designs too, but on very simple geometric shapes, nothing too elaborate. Like the pin cushions I make, they don't come that way. I have taken two different things and I have merged them together in one of my programs to create them. But that's pretty much as far as I can go with without doing a lot of learning. Which, to be quite honest, anything that I want to make has already been made, more than anything else. But lots of people do this as a hobby, and then they put them up for nothing. There's a place called Thingiverse where you can get whatever you want. You just do a search, pretty much. So yeah, does the designs indicate the size of the filament you should use? So they will put notes in and say, yeah, this is meant for 1.75. That's the most common filament size, 1.75 millimeters. Now some will recommend other settings as well for it to turn out, and because there's all these settings you can do in your slicer program. It does get a little involved, okay? It is not a plug and play technology. It is, you've got to fiddle around
like with
it.
these printers that like Steve has, there's a lot of adjustments that you have to do. It's not like you could, it's not like your color printer that you have for doing printing out a page of literature or something like that. You just you just put the ink in and you put your page in and it prints out whatever you want, right? But you can't do that with these 3D printers. You have to fiddle with them and adjust them, and it takes some time to get used to them.
Yeah.
You can't just plug it in and expect it to work.
I can tell you this, if you ever buy a 3D printer, or if your husband or someone in your family buys a 3D printer, be prepared for a lot of cursing and swearing and kicking and shouting and crying and screaming.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of people that buy these, put them together, and try and print, thinking that it'll work just like a color printer. Or
just right out of the box.
And they'll get frustrated with it and cast it aside.
Yeah,
because you have to be prepared to be able to experiment with it and fiddle with it till you get used to the way it works.
Yeah. So
and like you're constantly replacing things.
Oh yeah. I've rebuilt my printers. I've learned a lot since I've got that. I was just looking here. I think I missed a comment. No, I guess I got them all, except someone mentioned just like, oh yeah, Laura said, yes, the future of prosthetics is 3D printing. It's utterly amazing. Yeah, they do that already with them. And Teresa says, I wonder how much an entire body would cost. You want to know something? These are things that science fiction come up with all the time, and you know, there is the technology out there. I'd say not in that many years into the future, body parts will be replaced as you need them. They're already able to do some of that. So yeah, I don't think I'd last a week with a 3D printer. Well, you do have to have patience. Yeah, I've had a lot of screaming. One of the ladies at Ultimate Sewing, her husband got ordered a 3D printer because he'd seen the things that I had made. And I said, are you prepared for him to be cursing and swearing a lot? And she says, oh, it's okay. He's in a far part of the basement. I won't hear him. And I said, probably a good thing. I wonder.
Yeah, like you got one of the printers you got somebody gave to you because they said they couldn't get it to work, and they said that it was just sitting there and he didn't think that
he couldn't get the bed to level properly, he said, and he just gave up on it. He bought himself something totally different that works for him, and he gave me this one. And well, I looked at it and went, well, yeah, everything on it is loose. You haven't really put it together quite right. And so I rebuilt it. Well, I tightened things up and I leveled them out and everything. And yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. In fact, that printer is pretty reliable out of all my printers that I have. And it's one that's an original Ender 3 model. Guess what these ones are called? Ender 3s. And I have, my other two printers are Ender 3 version 2s, which are a tiny bit more sophisticated, but this one's working fine. I even offered to give it back to him. I said, look, I fixed it. It works. Nothing wrong with it. You can have it back. And he said, nope, didn't want it. Didn't want to touch it. And I said, well, I'll pay you for it. I'll buy it from you. And he goes, nope. Well, basically he said, you gave my mother a whole lot of scrap. Yeah, a half-ton truck, literally. A half-ton truck full of stuff. But, so yes. But anyways. But it's been working fine with it. Except every now and then I have to do some replacement of parts. So I have a little store of parts. That's why I'm making the little thing I've got right now for replacement parts to hold them all in an organized way with it. So anyways, it's fun. It's a hobby. Cheryl has a retired robotics engineer, and he makes things for me when I need them. He likes the challenge. Ooh, robotics. Ooh, that would be fun. And Billy says, my son's always telling me he needs a different filament for it to be soft or pliable. I know he's done it before. Yeah, there's different strengths.
Yeah, the stuff that Steve uses is pretty rigid. So
yeah, and it's pretty much the standard. I have not experimented with other ones. You can get some filaments. They're fairly expensive, though, and I mean very expensive, that you can bend them. They're like rubber. But they take certain temperature, they say certain nozzles, certain different settings, and to be honest, I'm not that much into it that I want to play around with that kind of stuff. Also, because we're talking 2 to 3 times the amount that it costs me now for a roll of filament. I couldn't decide if I needed a new body, handsome or me. Marilyn has enough trouble with 2D printers, yeah. I suppose, Teresa says, if you can manually digitize an embroidery design, you could design a print file.
Yeah, I could probably do it too.
Yeah.
If I set my mind to it, because I've worked on a lot of different software.
Well, there's a new hobby for you.
If you want, I can have a look at it. If you want to make something special.
Well, that's the thing, though. You got to think about, what is it do I want to make? He's always criticizing me that I'm always making boxes. No, I make pin cushions and gnomes too.
And flower pots.
Flower pots. I've got lots of different things that I've made, but I'm at the point right now where, okay, what other plastic thing do I need? You know, like I have a house full of them. I mean, on this shelf behind us, if you look over here, see up there on the top where my fabric is? Those are all 3D prints of one sort or another. I got on this craze of making model homes from medieval times, and there's all kinds of fantasy figures that you can do. In fact, I made for my niece for Christmas a whole ton. I think I made her 13 different figures from Dungeons and Dragons, because she's into Dungeons and Dragons, and they were fair size. They took me a while to make. But I'm really not into that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know if somebody is into something that requires like plastic models or something like that, then actually this would be good for, you know, printing. Like, I mean, I know people sometimes are into hobbies like model railroads and stuff like that, and a 3D printer would be good for them because they have all
Yeah.
kinds of little miniatures that they do and stuff like that. But I mean, you're not into railroads, so.
No. More or less what I do is I go on to Thingiverse and I check out what's trending. They have a section you go into what the top models of the week or of the month, and I take a look at what people have been making. And usually it's the same old, same old. I mean, they have thousands upon thousands of ones you can download. But
Like, I mean, when that ship got stuck in the Suez Canal or whatever,
Oh,
with the
yeah.
container ship, somebody started making all these models of these ships.
yeah, and that kind of thing. Bye, Anita. See you later. Yeah. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, I haven't done it yet, but if you have electric quilt, okay, electric quilt is, for those of you that are non-quilters, is a program for designing quilts. But it will also print out the, not the pattern per se. It doesn't really tell you how to put the things together, but you can print out like the pieces that you would need. Oh, I thought I heard one of them. Was it turned off? No, not yet. Anyways, bye, Teresa. Or you're saying goodbye to Anita.
Bye, Anita.
Bye, Anita. And you can, certain quilt patterns, certain blocks, have very specialized pieces that you need to cut with a template. Now, you can usually buy acrylic templates for this kind of job, or you can do them in paper and trace them. But you can actually go through Electric Quilt and create a file that you can put through your slicer and print out your own plastic templates for that design. Now, it'll take you a bit of a time to do that, but I haven't done that yet because I haven't found a pattern that I've really wanted to do where I wanted to do templates with it. But maybe I might look around and find something and try that. I haven't tried it yet. So, you know, there are other possibilities here as well. So anyways, that was a lot. I wasn't going to talk about 3D printing today beyond showing you stuff, but yeah, that's okay. If you guys were interested in that, I don't mind answering questions from what I know. So I got a nasty comment this week. I don't know. Some of you probably saw my Idiot Quilter Presents Musings, and you know that I've been doing that until I get another interview, and I haven't had an interview in a while. So it's just basically where I take about 10 to 15 minutes and rant about something, usually related to quilting or sewing. Well, this week I talked about how much money I've spent. This is the start of my 5th year of quilting. How much money I've spent in the last 5 years. And actually, it kind of astounded me and scary. I start to add it up. So if you didn't see that video, you might want to see it. But I got this comment from one person, which you will not see the comment because I eliminated them. And not just because of the comment they made, but the comment was very nasty. And it went, oh yeah, bragging about everything you've got. It's all about you. Me, on there. And they went on. Okay, first of all, this was somebody I've never seen before on any of my channels. So I suspected that this is somebody, there are, you know, trolls out there who like to do this kind of thing. Go on to other people's YouTube channels and make nasty comments. So I went in and I did a little research on this person to check if they had a YouTube channel. And they supposedly did, but there was nothing in it. It was completely empty. Well, and they had a weird name. It was, I don't know, I'd never seen it in any language, this. So basically, what they are is somebody who gets a thrill going on to other people's YouTube channels and making nasty comments like that, which I really don't understand what the attraction is to do that.
Award.
Yeah. So I reported them because you can do that as a content creator. Under the section, they have a section for hate comments or things like that, and I eliminated them from the site. But then I got thinking about their comment, and I thought, well, maybe it did sound like I was bragging. that wasn't my intent. My intent was to talk about the fact that we, as people who are makers, as the term goes, any hobby, if you really think about it and how much money you've spent for something that brings you joy, something you like to do, it might scare you. So the idea here is don't add it up. And I was using myself as an example of that. But anyways, you get
mind you, you're probably more extreme than the app.
Well, yeah, when I get into things, I kind of get a little carried away, I suppose, at times. But anyways, it was not intended to be sitting there going, nah, nah, nah. Not like Fidel with his great big huge long arm.
And it's sunny Mexico.
And sunny Mexico, yeah. Is Fidel still here? Patsy says she didn't take it as breaking. Well, I'm glad, because that's not what I was doing. I was just pointing out that if you really sat down and thought about how much you spent on something you did.
Yeah, but you could say that's true about anybody doing any hobby. I mean, yeah, you probably spent a lot more than some people, but I mean, I know other people that have done other hobbies and they spend lots and lots and lots and lots of money.
Well, yeah. Hobbies cost money. So, it's that way. It's just that way.
So
it doesn't matter what you do. If you're into sports of any kind, if you're a skier, something like that, that's a lot. A golfer, everything costs money. You just, to keep your own sanity, don't do what I did.
Yeah,
don't start adding it up. There he is. There's Fidel. Okay. Jeannie says, I didn't think you were bragging. It made me try to figure out my spending. Yeah, don't do it, Jeannie. Don't do it.
Yeah, I know. Well, actually, there's a lady that I know that's in my sewing class. Her basement is completely full of fabric all over. And she says, I don't even want to know how much I spent on it.
Yeah. Well, Cheryl says, and the more toys you get, the more you teach us. Okay. Yeah. I like to share these things because I often, I do get comments where other people have some of the similar equipment or whatever, and they've had similar problems, and they will give me what they've done as solutions. Or if I can help somebody with a solution, like I've done a whole series on the 15,000 and the problems I had with it. And the idea there was I was trying to point out, what problems you could have with certain things and how I solved the problems if I did solve the problems. And then other people give me suggestions of what they've done. That's fine. That's everything. Marilyn says, I sure didn't take it at that as breaking either. You were just being honest with how much it actually costs. Yeah. I mean, people are funny about money, aren't they? In our parents' generation, that was something that people didn't discuss. You didn't ask about how much someone made or how much this cost.
That also happens in the corporate world. When I was working at one company, they said you could not discuss your salary with other people in the company because one person was making a lot more than the other person sitting next to them.
Yeah. But I figured in this day and age of the internet, especially, if you want to find out anything about what somebody makes or, in whatever profession it is, what the range is, if you want to find out how much certain things cost, cars, houses, whatever, it's only a keyboard click away. So what's the big secret, really? I mean,
Jeanette from Sweden.
Oh, Jeanette from Sweden. Hi, Jeanette. Okay, I do know a little Swedish. IKEA. And smorgasbord. Ooh, I'm fluent. Just making fun there. Not of you, Jeanette, just saying. But nice to see you. It must be late over there. We're about 7 or 8 hours difference from us.
So you're middle of the night.
And we have been to Sweden.
Briefly.
Well, briefly. Stockholm. We were on a cruise. It stopped in Stockholm for a few hours. But yeah, I wouldn't mind going back because they got the ABBA Museum. I want to see the ABBA Museum. I'm missing some things here. Scroll it off the screen. Let me back it up.
Teresa said Mean Girls.
Oh yeah, Patsy says 3D printing items won't keep you warm at night like a quilt, for sure. Trolls like to mess with you. Oh yeah, there's lots of them on there. Cheryl said, wasn't bragging, was glad to hear I wasn't alone. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you guys realized, well, you've been around me enough, you know that I wasn't bragging about any of that stuff. And misery loves company, Patsy says, well, in my world. YouTube is like preteen girls. They're always mean girls. It's your channel. You can talk about whatever. Yeah. And
Yeah,
Lois
well,
says that-
people
yeah.
tend to do that. It's easy for them to do that on online, criticize you. I wonder what they would do if you were face to face with them. So,
Oh, they'd run and hide. They would never. Those kind of people would never face
yeah,
anybody
especially
off.
you.
And what are you suggesting?
You'd scare them off.
I'm always pleasant, except to people like you. Well, I don't know. That's just just don't make me go into teacher mode, as I always say. You won't like me then. Watching my favorite YouTubes has made me realize how much joy I get from my spending. Don't feel guilty anymore. You're destroying it. Well, I don't feel guilty. Jeanette loves IKEA and the meatballs. Cheryl has, I have IKEA meatballs in the freezer. Maybe dinner tonight. Yeah, you're getting famous when you have trolls. I suppose that's true enough. Mums. Mums. Oh, I guess it means yum yum. Okay. The IKEA meatballs they have here, though,
I don't really care for
they're
them,
not
but-
that really that great. So maybe the IKEA meatballs in Sweden are better. Because the ones they have here in our IKEA stores kind of are like sawdust with white sauce on them. And no one knows what that white sauce is. I don't know. But whatever. But I do love IKEA. I wish they'd put an IKEA out where we live, because we have to go away
drive to Toronto.
Toronto
for
to
it.
go to an IKEA.
I mean, it's not terrible. It's about 30, 40
No.
minutes, but still.
Yeah. So anyways, changing the subject here, Walter's birthday's coming up on the 27th of January. And so I've been saying, what do you want for your birthday? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. I don't need anything. It's not a question of need. It's a question of want. So he finally gave me an idea of what he wants. You're going to love this. What do you think he wanted for his birthday? Give me a guess. Go ahead. Come on. Put them up there on the comments. What do you think Walter wanted for his birthday? And I got it for him this weekend. We went shopping and got it. Any guesses? Anything? Anything? Anyone? Anyone? Ferris Bueller's Day Off here. Actually, I'm looking for your comments, because maybe you'll give me ideas for something else to get them, but we'll wait. Well, happy early birthday,
Thank you.
Laura says. Hi, Judy. You're late. Dinner out.
I did suggest that, but since all the restaurants are closed,
Yeah, so we can't do that. Wants a bolt of interfacing? No.
it's not sewing related.
Marilyn says Sweden makes fabulosis.
Fabulous.
Teresa, my youngest son is the 28th. Oh, okay. New pans. No, he's not a woman. And I'm not the husband that buys his
If
wife
I
something
want new
practical.
pants, I'll buy my own.
Yeah, like, you
Shirt
give
no, I don't need shirt buttons. I have a million shirt buttons.
Patsy says an embroidery machine. He already has his own.
I have one.
He has the same one as I do. Yeah, we have one upstairs, one downstairs.
KitchenAid mixer. Yeah, I've got a Sunbeam mixer. I've always thought of a KitchenAid mixer, but we don't use it that often. So
Fidel says something naughty.
I have a bunch of DeWalt drills.
Yeah, fabric, shirt buttons, KitchenAid mixer, DeWalt drill. He's got a ton of new shoes.
I got a pair of new shoes upstairs.
I wouldn't
No,
buy
he
it.
wouldn't buy me shoes anyway.
Okay, here's what I bought him. He wanted a vice. I'm not talking about a bad habit. I'm talking, the thing you put on your workbench and clamps things.
Yeah, so I took a picture of it.
Oh, you got a picture? There's his vice. That's
Here's
Walter's
my vice.
new vice. Wicked reflection on there.
Yeah.
That's his new vice. Yep. So now he can grab
I had
things
an old vice, but it broke. And I always wanted a new one. But this one's a big honking one. My old one was a little tiny one. So it's good. It's handy for holding stuff when you want to saw a piece off or something.
Like, limbs.
Or if you want to saw uh, tube or something.
Yeah. Anyways, it made them all
And I
happy.
got one that's versatile. Like you can move it all over different
It
places.
swivels this way and it swivels this way. I mean, okay. It was heavy too.
Holy God, it was heavy. Must have weighed about 80 pounds.
Oh yeah, of course you have one, Fidel. How big is yours, Fidel?
Be careful what you put in your body.
Yeah. Be careful. Yeah, okay. Could be a throw. So Teresa says, I got new pants for my son Christmas last year. This year he got culinary dishes, hinting to move out. Oh, okay.
Jeanette has an Epic Husqvarna. That's the similar to a Genome 15,000.
Oh, okay.
Nice machine.
Who's going into the Vice?
Yeah.
Him first. I would love a Vice too, but don't have a place for it. The grungy one is in the garage. Oh, geez. Andy wants a Vice too. This seems to be the gift of the year. Well, okay, that's fine. Buy him a new Husqvarna. Yeah, we're Genome people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem here is in our area, there aren't any Husqvarna dealers. And so if you buy one, it's kind of hard to get it serviced. So
yeah, next year he wants an anvil.
No, I do have a shoemaker's anvil.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's buried somewhere.
Oh, when was the last time you made shoes?
I don't know. I got it from my dad. It's a good paperweight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not exciting, Walter, but glad you're happy. Yeah, well, small things, The reason I mentioned about the pan's not a good gift, because you always hear the stories where a husband buys the wife for their birthday or anniversary, like a vacuum or some kind of cooking utensil, and the wives are not really happy about that kind of thing. So, yeah. Fidel says, I was close to my guess, a nice tool, heavy and manly. Okay, Fidel, we're not going there. It's not that kind of channel. Billy says her husband has a lot of tools, but he died Friday, so son will have to buy.
So sorry.
Oh, Billy,
you never said
you didn't
that.
say that. Oh,
so
geez,
sorry.
so
Our
sorry, Billy.
condolences.
Yeah, we knew that he was in the hospital, so but I kind of forgot. I thought he was out, but oh, that's too bad, Billy. Really sad. Yeah. What more can we say? Okay, let's go on to happier things here. I use a vise for jewelry making and have a small anvil. Oh, okay. A vise or advice. Dana's there. Oh, you lurking, Dana? Air fryer. Got one of those, Jeanette. And he uses it all the time, too. That and his Instapot. Two of his favorite cooking devices.
Yeah, I've got a circular saw. And I used to have a table saw, but it was taking up too much room, and we had to make room for the long arm, so I don't have a table saw anymore. Yeah. I have a, what do you call it, a chop saw and a 10-inch chop saw, and and I have a circular saw. I have a circular saw.
He has a whole lot of tools, and that's why for Christmas I bought him these attachments to go on the end of his. Have you even tried those yet?
No, I haven't.
On his drill for getting into corners and things on angles, and one of them actually turns your portable drill into like a drill press. Yeah, condolences are all coming in for Billy.
Yeah, so sorry to hear Billy.
That's just
I
terrible.
know you said he was sick for a long time.
Well, we're very sorry to hear about that. Yeah. But, yeah, well, I hope I'm not being insensitive, but I'm going to move on because it's kind of sad. And I'm sure, Billy, you already are grieving. I'm surprised you're here. But anyways, let's move to what we're doing this week coming up. So we are going to a housewarming party. Well, it's not really a party. There's only going to be Walter and I and this friend of ours who has moved into an apartment, or is in the process of moving into it. See, he's lived with his dad for many, many, many years. Well, his whole life. And his dad just moved into a retirement residence and sold the house. And got a good price for it. It's an older home, like about 80 years old or something. So he basically had to find a place to live. So he found an apartment, not in the best part of our city.
Well, that's because he doesn't really have a great job.
He was making weird noises over there.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the reel just pulled.
Okay, the real slide. Okay, fine. I hate it when I hear weird noises, like that. But anyways, he's moving into it, and he doesn't really have a great job. He works in a weed store right now, and he's done various things in his life. But anyways, I made him a quilt.
Yeah, that Patsy. You're correct. That's the one you made the quilt for.
Yeah, that's the one. You got good memory, Patsy. I let her repeat myself too many times. Yeah, I made the quilt for him, and he has a little cat. I've never met his cat, and I'm dying to, because I love cats, and we don't have one right now. And every now and then I get this urge to say, let's go rescue a kitty, but then I remember, the good things. You always remember the good things about having a pet, but you kind of tend to forget the things that weren't so good, like in the middle of the night when they're hurling up a hairball somewhere or whatever. So anyways, we got the cat a big bag of kitty treats and a toy as well, and we're taking dinner over, part of the housewarming. We're gonna pick up Chinese and food, that is, not an actual Chinese person, and take it over to his place, and we're gonna take some beer over, maybe some wine, and see his new place and whatnot. So he's all been vaxxed. We're all vaxxed and everything. So it's safe. It's just the three of us. I don't think he has any other friends. But I don't know, it's kind of a sad story there on many levels. So anyways, that's coming up. And I'm kind of excited about it, because when I'm excited to see the kitty and watch the thing will attack me or something, it'll be a vicious kitty. And it's just getting out and seeing other people for a change out of it all, but safely. So Billy says, yes, he had a great life. Blessed to have him in our lives. Hard to be sad when he gave me so much. Well, Billy, that's a really positive attitude. So I'm glad you're able to say that. Sounds like a friend of mine, Tree says, who took care of her mom for the last 10 years. Now her mom passed and the fam wants to sell the house. She has to find a job and a place to live in town with no apartments. Yeah. Well, this guy, he's had to look after his dad, because basically his dad should be going into a nursing home, or at least on the waiting list, because his dad has a lot of health issues right now. He's in his, I think about his mid to late 70s. It might be pushing 80. I don't know for sure. And he's been falling a lot, and
can't get back up.
He can't get back up. And I've told him, I know what you're going through. That was my dad and then my mom and everything like that. But he's a little younger than us. He's only in his mid 40s, and this is the first time he's had to go through something like this. His mom passed away quite a few years ago. And so it's just been him and his dad. He has a sister, but she has her own family. She lives in the same town, and she's been over helping out as well. But she has weird hours of work because she's a paramedic. And she's left a lot of things up to him because he lives with his dad, or did. So I've said to him, you might want to talk to your dad about getting on a waiting list for a nursing home, because it takes years to get in. And of course his dad doesn't want to have anything to do with that, to talk about it. And so, when people were giving me advice when I was going through this with my parents and everything, they've got the right intentions and everything like that, but sometimes you just want them to shut up. You don't want to hear it, because you already know what the reality is, but they're just reinforcing the reality, and sometimes you just don't want to face that, and so it's kind of hard. So, but whatever. But anyways, this will lighten up his mood, I'm sure, and, kind of a thing, being social, so that's what we're hoping for. So that's on Thursday, we do that. And then, so how are you all feeling about the big joke in Australia? And I mean the tennis player, Djokovic. The tennis player who, what's that?
Djokovic.
Djokovic. who apparently is over there for the Australian Open for tennis, or was going to be, and not vaccinated and refused to give his vaccination status or to take a test or anything like that, and they took it to court. And another reason I like Australia. There's
Well,
no
I don't
shit
know
there.
why they allowed him to go there in the first place. So,
Well, I don't know. He got in. Well, he had a visa.
well, yeah, somebody gave him a visa for to bypass the rules or whatever, and the Australian government didn't like that. So,
Yeah. So
actually, Bette Midler wrote on her Twitter page. She says he's the only tennis player to get kicked out of a tennis tournament for not for missing 2 shots.
leave it to Bette Midler. She always comes up with a good one. But you know, really, the message I have, first of all, sports in general right now during COVID, you hear so much bloody whining from the athletes. Yeah, I get it. It's their thing. You know, it's their life, and their life has been put on hold with all of this. But you know, when it comes down to it, in the way of the world, are they solving world hunger if they don't make a tennis match? No. And this guy was the top of the food chain for the tennis. I mean, what? He's been on the top of it 21 times or something. And they make money, big bucks. So yeah, it's their livelihood too. But they make more money than most of us will see in our lifetime for winning one of these tournaments or whatever. And I don't feel sorry for him. Besides, he was being one of those stupid people. He could have solved this problem very easily. Got the vaccination. He did not have a medical reason for not getting it. And his family's there fighting for this too. You know, like, no. So bully for the Australian government.
All the other athletes that were at the tournament had followed the rules and were vaxxed.
Yeah. So really, what makes him so special? And what about the average person out there who, you know, there's restrictions on where you can go and what you can do if you're not vaxxed and all this kind of stuff, and people doing their civil duty to protect other people by getting vaccinated, you know? And the anti-vaxxers, this just feeds right into the anti-vaxxers as well. You know, well, look, he didn't have to. Well, no. So Australia did the right thing. They gave him the boot, and good for Australia. And you know, we've been to Australia 3 times. And the one thing I always find very refreshing about the Australians, mind you, if I lived over there, it might get tiresome, but they don't know the meaning of being politically correct on anything. They call a spade a spade. They do their stuff, and it may not be popular with the rest of the world or even with some of their own citizens, but they do it. And I have to admire them for that in many ways, you know? So, and this is one of those cases where I really admire them for it. I was just looking back here, to see here. What about printing? Somebody said
a cat shape.
Where I lost it on here. Is it up further?
Go back up.
Up.
Hang on.
No, I think that's too far.
No. I don't think you went far enough. There, cat shape. There we go.
Oh, Andy
said,
what about printing a cat-shaped flower pot? I have thought about that. And I've been looking for a model like that. But I could probably do a combination. I actually did a cat pincushion.
Mm-hmm.
So I could probably, actually I could take that, just blow it up, and I've got a pot. Yeah, thought about that. I have seen Kenise home.
I have a 7 home.
Oh, okay.
So, and she says it's a Chinese crested dog.
Oh, okay. Which Barbara? Which video are you talking about? One of mine or somebody else's? I see people when I walk Mitzi. That's enough people contact for me. Well, I know, Andy. You've always said you'd rather put up with dogs than people, and you want to know something? I kind of agree with you. In it right now.
Maybe selling the house
by his father was a way to tell his son it's time to be on his own. No,
No.
his father's had the house up for sale for several years. He wanted
He wanted a large amount
He
of money.
wanted $1.2 million for it. Now, this is an 80-year-old plus house, needs to be totally redone inside. And he had some business interests in that they live a little north of us. It's just a little town. It's a burb of the town next door to us. And it's one of those places where, over the last 10 years or so, it's been major development up there. And businesses are buying older homes on the main drag because their house is on the main drag and making them into businesses or offices, like dentist offices, lawyer offices, things like that. So he was holding out. This guy's father was holding out to get this 1.2 million. The real estate agent was saying to him, "You're not going to get quite that." But his father was holding out. Well, he did manage to finally, he held out long enough that he did get it. So actually, I don't think he got the full 1.2 million. I think he got close to $1 million for it. And the other thing that was,
well, the other thing that probably fueled it is last year, the housing prices have gone up really crazy.
Like crazy about it. And, so anyways, and then he moved into a retirement home, like not a nursing home, or retirement home, which those things start at about $5,000 a month in our area, plus on top of it for it all. So yeah, so now he's kind of like, his son has to find a place to live, and he's pretty much he has moved out before, but that didn't last very long, many years ago when he was much younger. And he moved back in again. So, yeah, this will be interesting for him. But we'll see. No, you don't sound mean, Margaret. That's, yeah, very real thing. My sister should think about it with her kids. No. Yeah, Aussies did it right. So glad they didn't bend the rules for him. He's a jerk. Yep, I agree. Way to go. That was good for Australia. Not vax. Get out. Australia's doing it right. Yep. Oh, Billy says, had to put hubby in the nursing home for 2 weeks so I could heal a little from knee. And he had come home Wednesday and died Friday.
Sorry, dear.
Yeah, that's really sad, Billy. The rules are meant to be followed, Teresa says. Yep. And, I went up a little far here. Athletes have always been told they're special. It's a real shock to them when they find out they're not. Yeah, exactly, Teresa. Yeah, they have big heads on their shoulders. You can't fix stupid, Patsy says. He could have prevented the situation by just not going to the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, or getting vaccinated.
And Teresa says, I've gotten fired if I didn't, and I work at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
He thinks rules don't apply to him. Exactly. And that's what I said. He was setting a precedent for other people who would turn around and say, well, look, if you gave it to him, how about us? Like the anti-vaxxers. We should be able to do everything and the whole bit. So, yeah, real can of worms. Yeah, that's true. How did he get to Australia without the vac? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, there was something to do with the tennis group or whatever that was putting on the thing that for some reason somebody or somehow tried to get an exemption for him. And then the Ontario, or I don't know if they were trying to do it under the behind the Australian government's back or what the story was, but I guess when people found out, the general population found out that this exemption was being granted, that there was an outcry by the Australian people that said that, well, we can't do that. The average person can't do that, and everybody else that's at the tournament is vaccinated. Why are you allowing this idiot to come in without the vaccine? So the Australian government said they said, well, he's going to come in, but he's going to be screened just like any average person. And he couldn't, he came in without vaccination. He came in on the flight without vaccination. So the officials detained him and said that you're not meeting requirements of Australia. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, and then
And then they went to court, and then the judge said, "Well, he's not being. They're not being reasonable because of he hasn't had time to process it or whatever. I don't know." And the judge ruled that it was okay for this time. And then the powers that be in Australia, the guy that really looks after all the medical stuff, overrode what the judge had
Yeah.
to say.
yeah, the
And so
immigration.
now it's
minister,
gone
whatever.
to whatever the Supreme Court or whatever, and 3 judges unanimously just said, no, you're out of Australia. So,
Yeah. So good for them. And Teresa says, I think he said he had a medical reason not to, but they didn't agree. But he wouldn't give any proof of that.
yeah, actually, the medical reason he said that it was that he had already had COVID.
That's it. That was, that he'd
Yeah,
already
and
had
that
it.
he's basically,
He'd had it twice,
yeah.
he said. And so in his mind, he was immune.
But there hasn't been any
That hasn't been
proof.
proven that
And then they found out recently, too, that after he had tested positive another time, he actually went to some social meet and greet group while he had it.
yeah.
After. So,
Yeah. So, yeah. So, and Patsy says, I didn't think you could fly without being vaccinated. How did you get there? Swim?
That's a good question. I mean,
private-
either that or a private jet.
Private jet? He's got the money for
Yeah.
it. And his whole family came with him. And his mother was a belligerent bitch.
Yeah.
She's right there. I'm not sure what country he's from, but she
He's,
had a heavy
one of the
accent. Slavic
countries,
countries.
yeah.
And
Serbia, I think.
yeah, well, she was just right in there. So you can see, I think the whole thing boils down to how much money he had the potential to actually win at the opening. I don't know what the purse was for that, but to see his mother going at it, and it looked to me like, yeah, this is my retirement fund right here with this kid, kind of a thing. Anyways, I am glad that Australia did that, and I hope that sends out a message to these other ones as well. Like all these ones that are going off to the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Again,
I mean, Patsy, our country, we have to fly vaccinated. But if you're in a country where they don't require that.
yeah,
then-
he could have been
then
on
he
their
could have been
airline.
on one of their
That's right.
airlines, right?
So I don't know. Like when we've been to Australia, the screening you go through to get into the country when you get off your flight, they've got dogs sniffing you all over. You can't bring anything into that country that even vaguely resembles anything that's vegetable, mineral, or food of any sort. They're very, very protective of their country. Well, that's because they've had bad experiences in history before where people have brought in things that are not indigenous to the country, or these things have crawled in and they've had a problem with them. So yeah, they protect their country. And I say that's a good thing. I said to Walter earlier today, if this had been Canada and this had been a tennis tournament here, he would have been allowed to stay because our government is gutless when it comes to this stuff. He would have been allowed to stay. So another reason why I think we should have lived in Australia.
It'd be warmer.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it would be warmer, especially right now. Yeah. Glenn says, enjoying your chat. I listened while driving home from visiting my mom. Oh, well, glad you did, Glenna. But anyways, so yeah, we're past our time. We're way over. We got right into this today. So anyways, yeah, so we're going to go bye-bye. Thanks everybody for joining us again today, and tune into everything I put up online next week if you're interested, and we'll see you next week for who knows what. We always go off on tangents, but there we are. So as long as you're amused and you find it entertaining and you like it, and we do appreciate your feedback as you bring it up here too, because hey, this should be 2 ways here, not one. And so have a good week, everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't all get buried under tons of snow in areas that get snow and freeze to death.
Billy, our condolences.
And Billy, yeah.
And our hearts are with you.
Yep.
And
We're sending positive thoughts your way, Billy. So have a good week, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.